They started by saying, "We are an intelligence agency for the people." Just as the CIA collects secrets for the government, WikiLeaks set out to get them for the world. One former employee described the project's mission: WikiLeaks employee. The story of WikiLeaks is like a thriller with elements of espionage, hacking, and global revelations. These people, under the leadership Julian Assange, has stated that their goal is to bring the truth, however shocking. No matter how shocking, no matter how many enemies it makes, how it all started. WikiLeaks began with leaks targeting governments and corporations they believed were withholding information necessary for the public. The first significant breakthrough came in 2010 when the world saw how the modern military and contemporary war machines work. But who were these people? What were their motivations for challenging influential organizations like the CIA and the US Army? This is the story of WikiLeaks, a tale of courage, scandal, and, of course, consequence. Collateral Murder is the shocking truth. The first serious blow to the US war machine was dealt by the video, Collateral Murder. The footage, which was classified, showed the killing of civilians and Reuters journalists in Iraq. It was information that no one expected to see. The leak came as a shock and raised questions about what was happening in the wars being waged in the Middle East. That moment marked the start of the large-scale leaks and the popularity of WikiLeaks, diplomatic cables, and international scandal. But that's where it all began. In 2010, WikiLeaks published hundreds of thousands of US diplomatic cables. These documents revealed hidden negotiations, shocking findings, and confidential talks between governments. Such leaks caused panic in international circles. Many diplomatic relations were jeopardized. These telegrams revealed the behind-the-scenes negotiations between the world and world powers, revealing that politicians' actions and words sometimes differ from their public pronouncements. Some countries were accused of conspiracy, others of covert actions against their citizens. For example, one of the leaks published cables that discussed US strategies toward Iran, as well as assessments of political leaders of various countries. This was a shocking revelation to many because some of these leaders were presented as reliable partners, but were criticized and distrusted by Western countries. The consequence of the publication of these cables was not only diplomatic crises, but also violent protests from governments who felt that their sovereignty and right to negotiate in secret was threatened. Many diplomats were forced to rethink their engagement strategies, and some countries began labeling WikiLeaks as an enemy of the state. These events opened the public's eyes to the complex and often cynical relations between states, affecting citizens' perceptions of their governments and diplomatic services. Governments and diplomatic services. Leaks like these have caused people to think about how transparent and honest international politics are, as well as the importance of monitoring the authorities' actions. Leaks concerning the CIA WikiLeaks soon became known not only for its publications about wars, but also for its revealing information about intelligence agencies. In 2017, they presented the world with an archive of documents called Vault 7, which revealed the cyber espionage methods used by the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. United States Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. These documents described a whole arsenal of digital tools used by the CIA to hack into phones, computers, and even intelligent TVs worldwide. The world learned about the ability of government agencies to control people's private lives, and there's been a lot of outrage. However, as with other leaks, it only made WikiLeaks a target for the US government. After the publication of Vault 7, the public began to realize the dangers of cyber espionage and the need to rethink privacy and data protection laws. This scandal has led to an intense debate in government circles and the technology industry, as well as in the technology sector. Many experts have begun to push for new laws that would protect citizens. Laws would protect citizens from the invasion of privacy caused by government actions. One of the most important consequences of the leaks has been the emergence of requirements for that software and hardware companies to be more proactive in protecting user data. In response to these calls, companies such as Apple, Google, and Microsoft have begun to invest heavily funds to improve the security of their products. For example, Apple has emphasized an emphasis on data encryption, claiming that protecting the privacy of users is a priority. However, only some were satisfied with the company's response. Some activists and security experts argued that companies may actually be too closely tied to governments and may be handing over data on users under national security laws. The issue has become particularly relevant in light of the events surrounding the leaks, when the U.S. government has openly urged companies to cooperate with them in the interest of security. Meanwhile, WikiLeaks continued attracting attention and became a symbol of the fight for transparency and human rights. Many human rights organizations began to support WikiLeaks, arguing that the organization was providing essential information that helped expose corruption and human rights abuses of human rights. An example of this is the leaks related to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, when WikiLeaks released thousands of documents revealing the atrocities and crimes committed by both local authorities and foreign troops. In this way, Vault 7 was not just another leak of information, but a landmark event that changed the perception of cybersecurity, privacy, and government intrusion into personal lives. This story continues to unfold, and the evidence shows that we are yet to face new challenges in the digital age. What was behind WikiLeaks? Many people are still wondering who was really behind the WikiLeaks. After all, Assange did not act alone. A whole network of anonymous whistleblowers and hackers helped collect and transmit classified data. One of the most notorious informants was Bradley Manning, now Chelsea Manning, a U.S. Army soldier who gave WikiLeaks hundreds of thousands of documents, including the Collateral Murder video. For his actions, Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison, but his sentence was later commuted by President Obama. Other people who helped Assange have remained in the shadows, as each of them risked their freedom and possibly their lives to help expose government secrets. WikiLeaks was one of the first to extensively use encryption and anonymity to protect their sources and whistleblowers. This made their platform one of the most secure in the world for transmitting sensitive information. However, government agencies were not CIA, NSA, and others have been active in cracking these systems and identifying the sources of leaks, hacking into these systems and identifying the sources of the leaks. These technological aspects have also made WikiLeaks an object of study in the cybersecurity world. Their methods and those of their adversaries have become the subject of academic research and teaching materials on cyber defense and cryptography. In essence, WikiLeaks changed the world of leaks and set new standards for the entire data security industry, king or criminal. In the eyes of the public, Assange was and still is a figure of dual perception. Some see him as a hero, a fighter for freedom of information, a man who defied the challenge of the world's major powers. Others see him as a criminal who has jeopardized the lives of people working in conflict zones or in the field of intelligence. Assange's arrest in 2019 was the culmination of years of attempts by the U.S. to secure his extradition. Assange had taken refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London since 2012, avoiding extradition. However, his arrest did not mean the end of WikiLeaks. Despite the arrest of their leader, WikiLeaks continued their activities. V 2019, a few months after Assange's detention, the organization published a series of leaks called the Fish Rot Files concerning corruption schemes in Namibia and Iceland. This showed that the WikiLeaks team is not going to stop. But will their influence be as powerful without Assange? That question remains because Julian Assange's charisma and personal loyalty have played a considerable part of the organization's success. Mission versus secrecy. The organization's primary goal has been clear from the beginning of WikiLeaks' existence: to achieve total transparency in a world where the secrets of governments and corporations directly affect the fate of people. They wanted to expose the truth hidden behind closed doors, to provide the public with information that could change global political and economic processes. To do so, they used state-of-the-art technology to protect their sources, making them one of the most secure platforms for transmitting classified data. However, soon after the first significant leaks, WikiLeaks began to face criticism from governments and a section of the public. Questions centered on whether such a radical level of transparency exists. For example, the leaked diplomatic cables showed that confidentiality can sometimes be necessary to prevent conflicts. Critics have argued that releasing such data could worsen international relations and even lead to wars. One of the main criticisms WikiLeaks faced was that their publications could put lives at risk. Governments, especially the US, claimed that information published by WikiLeaks revealed the identities of covert agents and informants in hotspots, which could have led to their assassination. However, WikiLeaks supporters countered that the organization had always exercised the utmost care, redacting documents before publication to protect innocent people. Nevertheless, this argument has only sometimes proven to be convincing to opponents. The case of Chelsea Manning has also raised many questions. On the one hand, her was seen as a heroic act of civil disobedience aimed at exposing U.S. military brutality. On the other hand, Manning had violated her oath of office and passed classified information to an enemy of the state, which many considered treasonous. Future of WikiLeaks. The future of WikiLeaks is uncertain. On the one hand, government agencies worldwide are becoming increasingly cautious and are looking to tighten their control over information. On the other hand, the fight for transparency and openness continues, and WikiLeaks remains a symbolic force. Openness continues, and WikiLeaks remains a symbol of this struggle. The fate of WikiLeaks depends on many factors, but one thing is sure. However, one thing is certain: this organization has forever changed the perception of how information can be used in the modern world. They have proven that even the most potent entities can't hide their secrets in the digital age of digital technology. WikiLeaks made the truth available to everyone, but the price paid Julian Assange and his associates have been incredibly high.